Hey, season's greetings, family, friends, and fellow movie lovers. Jeffrey Michael here, and welcome to a Thanksgiving edition of Jeffrey Michael's Movie Reviews Extravaganza. I know what you're all thinking, Jeff, it's almost Christmas. Why are you making a review video about the movies released on Thanksgiving? Because I fell behind, okay? Happy? Sue me. No, seriously. With all the holiday stress that comes with decorating your house and tree, and present shopping, and present wrapping, I just haven't had the time to make videos for the movies that were released on November the 9th and November the 16th. And so yeah, I fell behind, sorry guys, and I'm trying to get right back into the swing of things with this newest video, so here we go, let's not waste any more time. In this video, I'll be reviewing the movies that were released on November the 21st, or Thanksgiving, of 2018. The first film that I'll review for you is the animated film Ralph Breaks the Internet, rated PG. It stars the voice talents of John C. Reilly, Sarah Silverman, Jack McBrayer, Jane Lynch, and Gal Gadot, and was directed by Rich Moore and Phil Johnston, who brought you the animated films Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia. Now, Ralph Breaks the Internet is the sequel to the 2012 film Wreck-It Ralph. Now, for those who haven't seen the original, a brief synopsis. So, Wreck-It Ralph was about an arcade game character named Ralph, voiced by John C. Reilly. And he lived inside his video arcade game, Wreck-It Ralph, which was located in Mr. Litwack's Family Fun Center and Arcade. Yeah, it's set in a world where the video arcade game characters come alive when the people are away, kind of like Toy Story. And so Ralph, has played the villain in his video game, but he hated being the bad guy. Why do I have to be the bad guy? And then throughout the movie, he meets Vanellope Von Sweet, who is inside her arcade game, Sugar Rush. It's a racing game. And they form a friendship, and he becomes a big brother to her, and he realizes, hey, I can be a villain and be a great guy at the same time. Lessons learned at the end. So the sequel is set 6 years after the original. Ralph is now enjoying being the villain in his video game, and Vanellope, though, has become disillusioned. I do the same old race in the same old game every day, Ralph. I feel like I'm meant for bigger and better things. I wish I could do more. And he says, oh, you'll get over that, kid. And then one day comes when two girls are playing Sugar Rush, the game, and they're playing so hard they ripped the steering wheel right off the game. Oh, they damaged it. Mr. Litwack, the owner's like, oh dear, I don't have enough money to go on eBay. It costs $200 on eBay because the company that made the game went out of business years ago. And we can't afford that wheel, you guys have to, close down Sugar Rush, and they're all disappointed. But even more horrifying is the characters inside the game, because in this world, when your game gets unplugged, you get erased forever. So all the people in Sugar Rush are trying to get out of the game, out the power cord into the wall adapter where it's the main central hub where all the characters meet. And they're all now homeless because their game's been unplugged. And now Vanellope's like, I have no game left. We got to save your game. We got to get a new steering wheel. And he's like, can you find one? It said on eBay inside the internet. And then we find out Mr. Litwack just got a new Wi-Fi router, and he plugged it into his wall outlet. And they're like, hey, we can access the internet and get your new steering wheel off of eBay. That's eBay, Ralph. And so Ralph and Vanellope go on into the world of the internet, and they're amazed by what they see. Oh my God, it's huge! It goes on forever. And so they finally find eBay Ralph, and they see all sorts of stuff when they go through the internet. They see Google. Oh wow, a place that sells goggles. Sweet, naive Ralph. And so when they get to eBay, they find the steering wheel, and they think the object of the game is to make a higher number than the person bidding. So they finally make 300, 400, 500. I got a number for you, 1,000, $27,001. Sold. Yeah, we won the game. And they realize only out when they get to checkout, okay, where's your credit card money? Money? We don't have money. Well, I'm sorry, but you have 24 hours to give us the money, or else you lose your item. We need money fast. How do we get money? So they find out through one of those obnoxious, pop-up ads. Hey, want to make money playing video games? Oh, that's it. And so they go to this video game on the internet called Slaughter Race, and they meet Shank, who's voiced by Gal Gadot. And Vanellope, voiced by Sarah Silverman, is entranced. Slaughter Race is dangerous. It's a violent game. She says, "This is it. This is where I'm meant to be. This is my new home. This is where I'm meant to be. My game." And she doesn't want to tell Ralph because, if she decides to stay at Slaughter Race, she has to leave behind, Sugar Rush and not go back to the arcade with Ralph. And how do we tell your best friend in the world that I don't want to go back with you? Oh, we get so many sad moments, come about, and what will they do? Will their friendship last? And will they be able to save her Sugar Rush game? And will she be able to tell him finally that this is what she's meant to be all along? So many conflicting emotions coming about. Let me just start by saying that this is the rare sequel that I thought was actually better than the original, if not the same, entertainment value. And here's why. The first movie was a wonderful delight. It had heart, and it had, if you were a video game enthusiast, there's a lot of, Easter egg references and, a lot of moments that you think, oh, wow, I recognize that. And it's still entertaining and, still heartfelt. And the sequel actually improves on that, because now we go on the internet and there's much more fun to be had with all the parts of the internet. There's a YouTube parody, and then at one point, Vanellope goes to the Disney website, and we're confronted by, Star Wars references and Marvel, because Disney owns all that, and all the Disney princesses, which are voiced by the original voice actresses who voiced the original Disney princesses. I thought it was a nice touch there. And there's a lot of great new gags, and what makes the sequel really work is that they never lose sight of the heart of the movie, which is the friendship between Ralph and Vanellope. I mean, that really is the whole core of the movie, the main heart. And as long as they focused on that relationship, then the movie succeeds. And there are a couple bumps along the way. It's a little long. It's an hour and 56 minutes. I mean, that's pretty long for an animated movie. And also kind of drags in the middle a little bit, but just a little bit. And there's also a great, unique, original Disney song by Alan Menken. You all know from like Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast movies. And some great gags, and there's some really heartfelt moments where they have to eventually make the inevitable goodbye, and it's just so sad and touching, and it's just fun for the whole family. I actually think this is the rare animated film that's more entertaining for adults than children, because all the references to the internet the kids are not going to get, but the adults are going to laugh because they so get it. I mean, so if you're an adult, you will love this movie, really. Overall, my grade, I give it a B+, the same grade as Wreck-It Ralph, and it's with some slight, little cons. It's still a great family film for the holiday season, so everybody go see this if you have a family, especially, because you will all love it. So, like, if you want to go and stay home and play video games, or go and watch someone playing video games, I think I would pick the latter, because you have a better time that way. Spend time with your family. Go to that Wreck-It Ralph Breaks the Internet. It's one of the best films of the holiday season. See it. Moving on. Okay, the next film that I'll review for you is Creed 2, rated PG-13. It stars Michael B. Jordan, Sylvester Stallone, Tessa Thompson, and Dolph Lundgren, and was directed by Stephen Caple Jr., who brought you the 2016 film The Land. Now, Creed 2 is the sequel to the 2015 film Creed. For those of you who don't know, the Creed films are a spin-off from the Rocky films. You all know Rocky Balboa by now. Adrian! The legendary Sylvester Stallone played Rocky Balboa, the boxer, in 5 Rocky films. And the basis of the Creed films is actually found in the 1985 film Rocky V. In that movie, Rocky Balboa's longtime nemesis, Apollo Creed, was defeated and killed in the ring by Ivan Drago, played by Dolph Lundgren. And Rocky was enraged, swore revenge. He defeated Ivan in the ring later that year. And so fast forward, many years later, in the movie Creed is about the son of the late Apollo Creed, Adonis Creed, played by Michael B. Jordan. And he grew up without a father, in and out of juvie, really troubled kid. And he vowed that he would reclaim his father's former glory by becoming a boxer. And so he tracks down the Rocky Balboa in his prime, in his later years. Hey, will you be my trainer? No, kid, I'm done with that. Ever since I lost Adrian, I'm not interested anymore. Come on, I want you to help me. You my father were nemesis, but you became friends. Help me regain his glory. All right, kid. And so, Adonis trains to become a boxer, and he meets his girlfriend, Bianca, played by Tessa Thompson. And I won't spoil the end of that movie because, spoilers, that's no good. So Creed 2 takes place 3 years after Creed. And in that time, the movie starts off, Adonis Creed has just won his latest boxing match, and he's now become the world heavyweight champ. And he's now, yes, I've done it. And and he just proposed to his girlfriend Bianca, and she tells him she's expecting their first child. So yeah, everything's going good for Adonis right now. But of course, it's the beginning of a drama movie, so that's not going to last. Meanwhile, in Russia, Ivan Drago, Dolph Lundgren reprising his role, sees the new heavyweight champion, Adonis Creed, son of his former rival. He realizes this is his chance to reclaim his glory that was lost when Rocky Balboa defeated him in the ring. And so he's been training his son, Victor Drago, his whole life to be a boxer. And Victor tries so hard to live in up to his dad's footsteps. And so he challenges the new heavyweight champion Adonis. Hey, how about you fight my son Victor? He'll destroy you. And, he's like, ugh, that's the man who killed my father. I'm going to get him. And then he realizes, Rocky warns him, you've got a lot to lose this time. You've got a fiance and you got a child on the way, just like your father. You really want to risk all of that now? You got a lot to lose here. But that was the man who killed my father, his son. I've got to do it for my dad. And so comes the heavyweight the champion of the century. You've got Adonis Creed, son of the late Apollo, versus Victor Creed, son of Ivan Drago, who defeated him. Who will win? Who will come out victorious? Oh, you're on the edge of your seat. Just wanted to find out. Overall, this was a pretty good sequel to Creed. I mean, it wasn't as good as Creed, but it was still a respectably good movie. Because consider this: after 5 Rocky movies and Rocky Balboa movie, and then 2 Creed movies, you might think, "Wow, is there any story left to tell here?" And surprisingly, yes, there is. And it's a little predictable. I'll get right into that. I mean, you pretty much can figure out the ending miles ahead, but it still doesn't make it any more suspenseful when you're in the actual match. And what I liked about the movie is that it gets to the heart of the story of these people. Like Adonis, like you said, it has a lot to lose. He has his fiance and his little daughter about to be born, and who gives birth during the movie. And you realize, wow, why is this so important to you? Just go and live your life. You're already the heavyweight champion. You realize, integrity and dignity and honor have to come into this. And from my dad, I mean, how can I just walk away from that when I have the chance? And meanwhile, it tells another story, like, Ivan Drago is not just a one-dimensional villain. We also get to see, like, what's going on in Russia between Victor and Ivan. Victor has spent his whole life trying to measure up to his dad. Like, you're no good. You're not the best fighter like I was. I'm trying. He's trying so hard to, impress his dad or make him, love him for what he is. And, trying to impress his mom, too, who left them when they were young. And he's just trying so hard, and in the ring, you see neither one of them is going to give in because he wants to, show his dad, I'm going to win. And, Don's like, I'm going to win. So they're like pretty much going to the death here, and trading blows. You're like, oh my God, what's going to happen here? And so, yeah, it's suspenseful, it's fun, and you're just rooting the whole time. Yeah, do it. Like an actual boxing match. That's how realistic it gets at times. And all the acting, Sylvester Stallone once again brings that gravitas to Rocky Balboa. And Dolph Lundgren once again brings the same to Ivan. And Michael B. Jordan, like, he is just perfect as Adonis Creed. He trained for the part. He does the acting part great. And even Tessa Thompson is the suffering girlfriend. She also, or fiance, she also shows, her the quiet struggle and brings that emotional center to this is what you're going to lose if you don't, win or you get killed like your father. And it gets intense at times. For my grade overall, I give this a B. The first Creed movie I gave a B+, and this one's a B because it's a little predictable, like I said, and it's you know where it's going, and kind of follows through some of the same tropes that we're used to in a boxing movie, but it still doesn't detract from the emotional weight it brings, and how good it is to the original. And would I recommend you see it? Sure, go ahead and see it. If you're into the Rocky movies or into boxing movies in general, it's a great movie to go and see. It's not the best movie in the holiday season, but still worthy to see. Go and see it if you want to. I recommend it. Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll come out. Anyway, moving on. I'm running out of things to say here. Adrian! All right, the next film that I'll review for you is Robin Hood, rated PG-13. It stars Taron Egerton, Eve Hewson, Jamie Foxx, and Ben Mendelsohn, and was a directorial debut of Otto Bathurst, Although after seeing this movie, it might be his last film too. More than a minute. So Robin Hood is like the umpteenth adaptation of the legend of Robin Hood. I mean, seriously, there are some books and historical figures that have not gotten their own movie yet, and Robin Hood's like, what, 50, 100 adaptations now? I mean, at this point, unless your Robin Hood movie brings something new, fresh, and different, then don't even bother. Unfortunately, this movie does none of those things. But here we go anyway. So this version of Robin Hood is played by Taron Egerton. He lives in Nottingham in England during the time of the Crusades with his lover, Maid Marian, played by Eve Hewson. And then he is drafted to go fight in the Crusades by the corrupt Sheriff of Nottingham, played deliciously by Ben Mendelsohn. And he spends 4 years away from England in the Crusades, and then he comes disillusioned to a point where when his commander is about to kill a bunch of prisoners, including a teenage boy, despite his father's plea, "Don't kill my boy!" And, Robin Hood tries to use his bow and arrow, but he doesn't manage to succeed, and those people are killed. And his commander's like, "You are out of here." So he goes back to Nottingham, and it's found out that, in that time, the Sheriff of Nottingham declared Robin Hood dead 2 years ago, and so he seized Robin's land and all his wealth to help fund the war in the Crusades. And he's all, "What the hell?" Friar Tuck, his friend, told him that. And we also find out that a bunch of commoners are creating an uprising against this regime, and these commoners are led by Will, who you all know is Will Scarlet, and he has a new lover, Maid Marian. Because she thought that Robin had died. That's why. It's been still awkward, though. And it's that point that Robin Hood is encountered by the same Arab man that, whose son was killed, that he failed to save. That Arab man is played by Jamie Foxx, whose name is Yaha. I don't know how it's spelled, but in English it's John. Little John, anyone? And he wants to help him. "Hey, we work together to get back that money they're using to fund the war that I don't want to happen in my country, and then we can give back to the commoners. Hence, steal from the rich, give to the poor." But from there they go on to the conflict to try and get back the money and go against the sheriff and help the commoners and blah, blah, blah. To be honest, overall, I thought this movie was just lame, boring, and just not that interesting. And I fell asleep a couple times, and I had actually gotten a full night of sleep beforehand, so I wasn't tired at all, but I still... And so I might have missed a bit of the movie, and that's why I can't go any further in my review, because I don't know what else would happen. But seriously, that's the whole heart. I mean, the actors, you can't really blame them. I mean, Taron Egerton does as well as he can as Robin Hood with the material that he's given. I mean, his bow and arrow skills are great. He developed those. And Ben Mendelsohn, of course, is great as the Sheriff of Nottingham. Perfect for him, that role. But just overall, this is a movie that I don't just know what to think of it. I mean, it feels like it belongs in the medieval ages, but at times it feels like it belongs in modern ages because Robin Hood has a modern haircut and there's modern dialogue, and Jamie Foxx plays Little John, so it just feels like, oh, is this set in modern times? Because it feels like with Jamie Foxx in the role, and you just don't know. It's a confusing movie, and it's not that humorous, and it's not that exciting. It's just lame and dull. I mean, like I said, it's sleep-inducing, and like I said, at this point, unless your Robin Hood movie is fresh, original, and new, it's just not worth it. And like I said, the director is going to have a hard time getting a new project after this, I think, because no one went to see this movie. It's box office bomb. Overall, you guys, I give this one a D. I mean, it's just not great at all, below average. It's just, I mean, when you look at other Robin Hood movies that have come before that were done better in every aspect, from the casting to the excitement to the humor, it's just every other, you can find so many Robin Hood movies that are much better than this one. So, would I recommend y'all go see it? No. I mean, there's so many movies to see this holiday season that are great. This is not one of them. So if you're going to go and not see one movie this holiday season, let it be this one. Don't see it. I mean, this is one movie where, Robin tried to hit the target of the box office, and he missed the mark entirely. Moving on. Alrighty then. So the last movie from Thanksgiving 2018 that I'll review for you is Green Book, rated PG-13. It stars Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, and was directed by Peter Farrelly, who brought you such comedy films like Dumb and Dumber, There's Something About Mary, and The Three Stooges. Now, Green Book is inspired by a true life story about an unlikely friendship between an Italian American and a black man in the early 1960s. So the movie is set in 1962 in New York. We're introduced to the Italian American Tony Lip, played wonderfully by Viggo Mortensen. And he works as a bouncer in a nightclub, but then that nightclub becomes closed for renovations, and he's out of a job for a while, and he needs money to support his wife and his two boys. And in an early scene in the movie, we see some African American workers working in his house, and then his wife gives them 2 glasses of water to quench their thirst. And when they leave, Tony goes over, grabs the 2 glasses, and tosses them in the trash. Yes, that happened. And so he's looking for a new job, and he answers an ad for a driver. Hey, I can drive, in his Italian accent, which is wonderful, by the way. And so when he meets his client, the person looking for a driver, we meet Don Shirley, played by Mahershala Ali. He's a well-educated black man who's got a bit of wealth, and he's also a classical concert pianist. And he's about to go on a tour of America that includes going through the Deep South. Uh-oh. Back in that time, if you're a black man going to the Deep South, that spells trouble. Yeah. And so basically, he doesn't just need a driver, he also needs like a protector, a bodyguard too. And so he comes drawn to Tony. Hey, I think you'd be great for me. I don't know about this because it's a black man he'd be driving around. He's not too crazy about that, but he needs the money desperately. Fine, I'll be your driver, but on one condition. I gotta be home in time for Christmas for my family. Done. And so they take off in their car. He drives, and Don Shirley sits in the back seat, and has a very elegant way of talking. He's very well educated. And Tony's very crass, and he chews noisily and with his mouth open. He's kind of that kind of guy. It's like a yin and yang kind of friendship. And at first, they're like on the long drive. They get, oh my God, I can't stand this guy. And he listens to loud music. What? You don't know music by Little Richard or Aretha Franklin? No, come on, those are your people. I listen to classical music, thank you. And and so he also goes to Kentucky and eats fried chicken. I have never eaten fried chicken in my life. Come on, it's good. You don't think too highly of me, do you? A lot of humor found along the way, and they clash a bit. And then they also consult their Green Book. The title Green Book comes from a real life book. During the time, black people got around through the Deep South looking at the Green Book. It basically told them where the safest places, like safest hotels and restaurants they could go to in the Deep South. It was basically a survivor's guide for black people, the Green Book at the time. And so the Green Book, they go throughout the South, and he performs his concerts for these white people, and they're all happy, enjoying themselves. And behind the scenes, who could believe that N-word, I won't say the word, could play piano. So yeah, there's definitely racism is confronted in this movie, even from Tony himself. And throughout the movie, he starts to gradually see, what they go through. It's all about, firsthand experience. And Tony becomes a protector. Like there's a quarrel that happens in a bar where he has to save Don from. And at one point, there's an incident at the YMCA where we find out that Don may like men, wink, and confronted by the police. And so he has to save him again and again, and confront racism along the way. And along the way, they start to understand each other, and Don starts to help him out too by, writes letters to his wife. Hey, dear wife, I had this kind of food to eat. This place is crazy. This is garbage, So he helps him write out letters to his wife. They help each other, and it all comes to a head where, who do you think I am? If I'm not white enough, if I'm not black enough for you, then what am I? And at one point there are jails involved, and there's more conflicts, and you start to see gradually the friendship that forms between these two guys, in a time when, it was very unlikely to have that kind of friendship. And so overall, this was a really great movie, I thought. I mean, it's based on a true story, although some liberties were taken because we find out from the real life, Don Shirley's family were not happy with the film because they saw some things that were not accurate at all. But the thing is, they're making a movie here, not a documentary. I mean, JFK is an Oliver Stone classic, even though it's very, inaccurate. And it's a good film that shows how, if you want to confront racism, you've got to be courageous. You got to, expose people to this stuff. That's what Don Shirley was trying to do. Show these white people, look how good I am, and I'm a great pianist. I'm not this person that you think that I'm, this, ape or whatever. That's terrible stuff they were saying at the time. It's all through exposure, education. You got to show people in order to say, hey, change their minds or open their minds at least. And all throughout the way, we see friendship form. A guy who at the start of the film was not too crazy about black people, but through exposure and education, he gradually saw, hey, there's nothing to be afraid of. There's no need for racism. And this movie is especially timely now with all the racial oppression that's going on in modern times. Sad, really. And it's a good reminder that there's still quite a ways to go, and also the acting. Oh my gosh, if this movie gets any Oscar nominations, it'll be for the acting, because Viggo Mortensen is just terrific playing the Italian American crass guy who actually gains a heart over the film. And Mahershala Ali, who plays Don Shirley, oh my God, he definitely deserves one. He, maintains his character's dignity, and he was able to, seeing character like this well-educated guy who talks, really high and polished all the time, and still has that vulnerability, like, what am I to you? That he has to bring in those critical, emotional moments, and they both just nail their roles. And so, if they get nominated, then well worth it, I say. Overall, I give this film a B plus. Yeah, it's a near perfect film to see for the holidays. If you want to see such great acting and great messages and there's humor and there's drama, and it's got everything you want in a wonderful, like, based on a true story life movie. And I would recommend you all go see it. Definitely, absolutely. If you want to, like I said, see all of what I just mentioned, then go and see this movie. It's a worthy movie to see for the holiday season. It might not be a great representation of the real life story, but it's still a great movie overall. And everyone, go and see it, please. Moving on. Yo, Adrian, the recap. Recap, everyone. Ralph Breaks the Internet. B plus. Worthy, if not better, sequel than the original that has great humor, many internet references, and manages to focus on the true heart of the movie, which is this wonderful friendship between two characters. It's the perfect film to see this holiday season with your whole family. Everybody go see it. You won't regret it. Mm-hmm. Creed 2. B. Not as good as the first Creed, and it's a little predictable, but it still manages to tell a surprisingly fresh story about a former boxing legend and a new boxer trying to reclaim his late father's former glory. I still recommend you all go see it anyway, especially if you want to see a good boxing film, that is. Mm-hmm. Robin Hood. D. The umpteenth adaptation of Robin Hood that doesn't bring anything new, fresh, original, or even all that exciting to the Robin Hood legend. Just avoid this one at all costs, people, please. Mm-hmm. And finally, Green Book. B plus. A wonderful true life story about an unlikely friendship with great acting by its two main leads. Everybody go see this one, especially if you want to see a potential Oscar contender. Mm-hmm. And that'll do it for the Thanksgiving edition of Jeffrey Michaels Movie Reviews Extravaganza. Until next time, happy movie watching, everybody! And I promise I will have a new video after this one very soon. Scout's honor.